Hey everybody, it's Julie Quinn. Welcome to week 5. We're halfway through. I know it doesn't feel that way, but we are, so hang in there. Week 5, you're going to be introduced to a lot fewer new readings, and we're going to be building on the prior work that we have done. And so let me show you what the week is about. Okay, we're going to also be doing a little bit of reading on memo writing. That's an aspect of technical writing that often accompanies the technical documents. We'll be practicing that. We'll be talking about some changes in APA citations and so on and so forth, and talking about the 2 major assignments that are coming up, one this week and one in a few weeks, writing assignments 4 and 5. Writing assignment is the report to the supervisor that you've already done some discussions on, and upcoming writing assignment 5 is the briefing paper. So here's what you have to look forward to this week. You've got a video on the basic memo. One of your discussions is a memo. It's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. It's an opportunity for you to write in memo style, to share with me ideas on your briefing paper topic after you review what the briefing paper is about. So that is discussion number 1. You see those changes for APA 7th in the briefing paper and in the report to the supervisor. The format of both of those major documents do not have to be traditional APA style, which means it doesn't have to be double spaced. You don't have to have a cover page and so on and so forth. But you're going to want to think about the fact that you are required to do APA in text citation with that documentation of APA references. That's what you will be required to do. So part of the APA documentation exists, and that's why these changes are listed here in the assignment. Video tutorial is just a refresher. You may have seen this in 112. It's a reminder of if you're mentioning a source in more than one sentence, how do you do what we call bookending a source? How do you signal a phrase? How do you name a source without it sounding robotic? So that is a video tutorial. So this should be short and sweet for you this week because the majority of your time is going to be spent thinking about writing assignment 4, getting that ready, brainstorming a little bit of writing assignment 5, and continued practice of those PARC principles, this time proximity and repetition. So discussion topics include writing a memo to me. Okay, you'll have that video first. Tell me what you want to write about with your briefing paper. This is not the same topic as the report to the supervisor. That was a scenario that you played out. This one is a topic of your own choice. You'll be writing a memo explaining the problem you're writing about and your suggested solutions. So before you write this memo, you do want to go back and you want to go into activities and assessments, check your assignments, and go into writing assignment. Excuse me, I clicked on the wrong one. Go to writing assignment 5, briefing paper, so you get a sense of the overview of this assignment. It's a 1,200 to 1,500 word document. And then you of course got the PDF that goes over in much broader detail. So this briefing paper, the final major writing task of the class. You'll write a briefing paper that provides information about a specific problem in an industry or field of study. So this is where writing about your major actually comes back into play for most of you. The paper will also include a possible solution to the problem. It can be a technical problem, a logistical problem, something with HR, performance, anything that is applicable to your field. Okay. In this document, it's a hybrid document. It has an academic design in that you're writing an essay. This paper, it's an essay of sorts, but it's also going to include graphics. So a lot of the technical work we did in writing assignments 2 and 3 will carry right over into writing assignment 5, but you only are required to use 2 graphics. They can be original. They can be borrowed. It's up to you, but you have to cite sources if you borrow them with an APA format. You borrow any text or you borrow images, you cite the sources that way. And of course, in the workplace, employees are asked to write briefing papers to higher level admin like the C-suite. We have examples of topics that you can sort of think about whether this applies to your own. And then, of course, we've got strategies to consider for the briefing paper. I will go over paper samples in not this week, but next week. Right now, your goal is to choose a topic, to see what your other classmates are writing about in their topics, to sort of share ideas, to inspire one another, and we will create a discussion together about this. All right, so that is that was the second discussion topic. I was right where I wanted to be. The second discussion topic for the week models what we did with alignment and contrast, but now we're talking about proximity of things that are in the right locations and attached to one another purposefully, like a figure title and the corresponding figure, and design repetition. You have two new websites to look at, Penny Juice and San Pellegrino. You will write a paragraph about proximity and repetition, because in writing assignments 4 and 5, you will consider the PARC principles in the design of your document. You will, it's so important. I gave a lot of feedback on writing assignment number 2 about proximity and about repetition, and alignment and contrast. Are you using consistent borders? Is your number scheme aligned in some sort of like a chronological way? 1, 2, 3, 4. Are your images consistently sized? Is there nice contrast between the color of the text in the image or the lines on a graph? All of this comes into play in writing assignments 4 and 5. So we're going to keep practicing these ideas this week in week 5. So as we look at the week 5 content, just as a reminder, you're looking at the memo. You've got just a little webpage review of minor changes to APA 7th and a video tutorial on how to name sources. That will come into play in writing assignment 4. Remember to review the report to the supervisor's requirements in this PDF. And before you submit it, also go back under assignments and open up the link there, and you will get the grading table that goes section by section of how the assignment's going to be evaluated. So we've got your scenario that you need to read through and stick with it. Don't write about a different company in a different scenario. Everybody's writing about law and order, okay, for this assignment, right? You're going to write 1,200 to 1,500 words. You'll have at least 3 sources. Those are the ones from your prior library research. And you will need to apply the following golden rules of technical communication. Paper is permanent, which means imagine this is being given as a hard copy. This is not something that's an online news article that can be updated in real time. Make sure phrasing is accurate, that your grammar and your mechanics are up to date. Know your audience. You're writing to a boss, so I'd avoid slang, for example. Taylor's your primary audience. He's not an IT expert, so you may need to define particular terms for him. There are also issues that may be problematic that you don't know how much of a hand he's had in making the problem exist. So be careful because he's your boss, right? That is understanding primary audience, but you also have secondary audiences of your coworkers. They may get their hands on the memo because you're making recommendations that may affect their job requirements, right? The rule here is the goal is not to write gigantic blocks of paragraphing text, right? You want to write readable, actionable text. You want some prose, so some paragraphing, but you also are welcome to include bulleted information. You'll note this is a good example of bulleted information. Since it's non-sequential, it's not numbered, right? Each step is started with a capital letter for consistency. This should have a period here. I can't change this PDF, but this should have a period here. If they're in full sentences, be consistent with your capitalization. Okay, just use really good judgment. Signposts. Use headers for the different sections. The problem as a header, the solution as a header. The report will have the following sections, and you'll note that in the assignment overview, these sections will be repeated. So let me actually show that to you. So if we go into the assignment overview under activities and assessments, and we click on assignments, here is your grading table. Let me just do this with you now. You get up to 15 points for writing the depth of discussion that's required. If you go a little bit over, I'm okay, but please don't write 2,500 words. You have to show control. Some readers will stop reading if it's too long or if it's too dense. So I take this fairly seriously. I want you in the sweet spot of 12 to 1,500. You're going to have at least a graphic. You're going to have those 3 sources. You've got the memo that comes first, and then you've got the executive summary. And by the way, at the bottom of the announcement, there'll be a link to University of Maryland's executive summary sample, which I think is really good to show that the executive summary is a miniature of the entire paper. It's not exactly an abstract. Then you'll include a table of contents. Note that there are great videos on how to build tables of contents in YouTube. I probably will include a video or a link in this announcement. Then you'll have the problem and the solution sections of the document. You will list the sources used. I want to see how you accommodate your coworkers in addition to your boss. The quality of your graphics. The conclusion is not overly long. Did your sources in text citations and reference of the NAP style? And your language choices. Your grammar doesn't have to be perfect, but you've got to run the spell checker. You've got to make sure you've got capitalization consistency. Sorry about the dog barking. This is a professional document, and if you want to review it with me before final submission, all you got to do is submit it with me. Not submit it with me. Email me a time to set up a Zoom conference, and we'll go over it together before final submission. If you have any questions, let me know. There will be a lot of resources in the announcement attached to this video. I hope you're able to use them all this week, and I wish you great luck.